Okay, wow, what a day has been in the crypto and also stock market, because in case that you have been living under a rock, we have seen in the last 24 hours some major moves on the downside in a lot of cryptos. But the question is this thing actually the beginning of a huge bear market, or maybe this is just a simple violent pullback? And I'm going to show you some examples. We have seen these things many times, and maybe it suggests that we are going to continue our bull run and our move on the upside. The general uptrend in the midterm is just not over yet. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a great time with your family and loved ones. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about XRP, we were somewhere around, I think, these areas. And I was saying, look, we can actually get an A, B, C in form of an expanded flat, which suggests from here, we're not going to go up. Instead, we might actually get a move on the downside. Now, we did get our move down, but I want to be the first one to say it. I did not expect XRP to, in this phase, take this low down here about, let's say, $2.6. So I was definitely wrong, and I would like to apologize for it. But the question is, are we going to now argue, since this is quite a strong move down, that we have started potentially a bear market? In my opinion, definitely no. And I have a couple of very important reasons for it. Number one, in terms of Elliott waves, here's a question for you. How exactly am I able to find in this move on the upside an impulsive structure in order for me to be able to say this is actually a complete impulse, and from here we can start a bear market? For me, it is very difficult to find a 5-wave up in this area. And for example, if you want to argue this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave up, and since we are having overlapping of the waves between are supposedly wave 4 and 2, okay, this can be maybe an expanding leading diagonal. Unfortunately, this cannot be the case. Why is that? Because our wave 4 is actually smaller than our wave 2. So what's the idea in here? I'm going to say maybe in XRP, we have started a correction structure from this point right in here, and around the lowest low, or maybe who knows, even a bit lower, our correction is going to end. And it can be, for example, in form of an ABC flat structure, or maybe a WXY in form of a flat and a zigzag. That is also a possibility. Now, what should we do at the moment? Here's a very important point. Let's go on daily charts, zoom in more, excuse me. How big this shadow actually is. Let's just measure it using this one. This is about, let's say, a 25% shadow. Now, here's a very important point for you. This is not normal. Why is that? Shadows usually get created as a result of very strong move on the downside, but followed by that also a quick bounce back. And usually in this phase, we create a lot of gaps. And if you are a regular viewer, you know my stance on these things. In my opinion, gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled. And what I'm trying to say in here is this. In XRP, or generally in a lot of cryptos, I'm not going to be surprised if I see from here, or maybe a bit higher, some more moves on the downside in order to reach to somewhere around these areas. Now, what's the shape of these moves are going to be at the moment, I cannot tell you for sure, but if we're gonna have a slow and choppy move down, okay, that can be potentially a good sign, suggesting probably the bottom is in right in here. On the other hand, if we're gonna have a very violent move down, maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to take this low, well, okay, at that point we do need to be a bit careful and not jump into any unnecessary bullish conclusion. Like, do not get me wrong, the overall picture in XRP, in my opinion, is still absolutely 100% bullish. But whether this point is going to be our final bottom or not, right now, I do not believe that we should have any opinion with strong beliefs. And why do I say that? Well, earlier in the video, I told you, because the stock market is going down, we are seeing a decent move on the downside in the whole crypto market. And Dow Jones just opened, and where are we at the moment? Somewhere around 43.9k. Now, what if this move down is going to continue a bit more? Well, at that point, unfortunately, I'm going to argue Bitcoin is also going to go down as well. And what do you think will happen if BTC goes down? I'm gonna say it, probably a lot of alts are going to follow, including XRP. That's why I want to argue soon we are going to get something like this, a move on the downside. And in this area, for me, it's not actually a long opportunity. Let's get a move down. And if this is going to have characteristic of a corrective movement, fair enough. At that point, I'm going to think about opening some long positions. As long as we're not doing this, it is, in my opinion, extremely risky to go long in XRP, and for that matter, any other crypto. Now, it's not actually all bad news. You see, in terms of classic technical analysis, meaning support and resistances, we talked about this area so many times. This is an unbelievably important support from weekly, monthly, and daily time frame at the same time. And are we going to get a break of this thing? I find that extremely hard to believe. You see, this was, in my opinion, probably the strongest resistance area back when we were under it. And now that we got a break of it, pullback, and a continuation of the move up, meaning now that this is confirmed as a broken resistance and it's now a solid support region, I think it is going to be extremely unlikely for us to get a break of this thing. And as you can see, the moment that we reached to about this area, we got a 30% quick bounce back. So this really does show just how strong this level actually is. But again, I want to be very clear. Usually these shadows mean that we are going to at one point get some more moves on the downside, and that can be also interpreted as a simple retest of this level. And I'm hoping that at that point we are going to see some good signs in here suggesting that we are going to continue our move up in Ripple, and maybe the bottom is in right in here. So let's have our final conclusion and wrap up today's video. In XRP, because of the recent move down, I'm not going to tell you that overall now I am 1000% bearish. Absolutely not. In my opinion, in terms of Helios waves, there's a very high chance that our bull run is just far from over, and we are most likely dealing with a solid extension structure suggesting that we are at least going to go to somewhere around $10 for the first target. So the long-term structures, in my opinion, definitely haven't changed. But in terms of short-term price action, now I'm gonna say maybe this was actually part of a correction structure which has started probably from this high, and it can be overall an ABC flat or maybe a WXY. And the point that I'm trying to make is this: I think soon our move down is going to be over. However, is it over right now? Probably not. And I'm gonna say there are some gaps in these areas, and you are probably going to see a move down in XRP and also a lot of crypto soon in order to fill these gaps. And then we need to pay very much attention to the shape of these moves. If we're going to have a corrective movement, that can be a good sign. If this move down is going to be in form of an impulse, okay, that's definitely not going to be a good sign. And it probably means that this move can continue a bit more in order to, for example, in XRP's case, take the lowest low down here around $1.7. So for now, let's wait for a move down and see what's going to happen. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in XRP's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.